Welcome to the Simplify Your Life podcast, where we talk about how to create a life you won't need an escape from. I'm Coach Simone, author of the book 111 Ways to Simplify Your Life, and I'm glad you decided to tune in. In today's podcast episode, we're going to talk about the different types of attachment styles. I'll explain what each one of them means and how you can find what your attachment style is. Now, before we jump into it, let's start with the basics. What is attachment theory? According to this theory in developmental psychology, humans are born with the need to form a close emotional bond with a caregiver. In 1978, psychologist Mary Ainsworth concluded that there are three major styles of attachment. The first one is secure attachment, and the other two types are different variations of insecure attachments, anxious and avoidant. Later on, in 1986, a new disorganized attachment style was proposed by Mary Main and Judith Solomon. The disorganized attachment also belongs to the insecure attachment style. Now let's examine each one of them. Securely attached people generally approach intimate relationships in a healthier way than the anxious, avoidant, and disorganized types, because they had a secure and loving relationship with their primary caretakers. Anxiously attached people feel nervous around their partner. They're constantly on the lookout for drama and need a lot of affection and validation. They struggle to be alone and are prone to feeling jealous, overly sensitive, or obsessed with their partners. Avoidantly attached people are self-sufficient, independent, dislike true intimacy, and tend to push away their partners when they get too close. They have commitment issues and would rather focus on their work, passions, or personal projects than spend time with their partners. Anxious and avoidant types getting together is a common pattern because they're feeding off of their insecurities and creating a toxic push-pull dynamic. The only way for such a relationship to survive and even thrive is for the anxious type to become more self-sufficient and work on their abandonment issues, and the avoidant type to open up, show vulnerability, and to work on their intimacy issues. Now let's discuss the last attachment style, disorganized. Disorganized attachment style, also known as fearful avoidant, is characterized by craving closeness and support, but at the same time fearing it and creating a distance between them and the other person. A person with disorganized attachment style can have an inconsistent and hard to predict behavior because they pursue a loving, committed relationship, but then often detach or lash out at their partner. I'll make separate episodes on each one of the attachment styles, so if you want to be the first to know, make sure to subscribe. Okay, now that we know what the 4 attachment styles are, how can you tell which one applies to you? Generally speaking, certain traits will help you discover them pretty easily. Let's start with the signs of having a secure attachment style. Secure attachment is characterized by having a healthy sense of personal space, boundaries, and a desire to spend time with their partner. Securely attached people find it easy to trust others and have no trouble admitting their mistakes or apologizing when they hurt someone. Now, if they're in a relationship with an insecurely attached person, they could potentially influence the other person to change, since their presence is non-invasive, healthy, and secure. The thing about having a secure attachment style is that more often than not, people who have it don't actively seek out others with insecure attachment style, because often the emotional maturity and insecurity gap is quite big. And the moment insecurely attached people start acting out, securely attached people put a lot of effort into turning the relationship into a healthy one. But if the unhealthy dynamic continues, they might reconsider the relationship. One more clue to being a securely attached person is having a healthy relationship with your parents or primary caretakers. On the other hand, codependency or coldness, unpredictability, turbulence, or toxic behavior between you and your parents are signs of a potential insecure attachment. Now, before we move on to the next attachment style, I want to personally invite you to my free masterclass, 3 Confidence Secrets Every Woman Needs to Know. If you want to register now, just click the link in the description box below or head over to coachsimono.com/masterclass. Now let's talk more about the potential signs of having an anxious attachment style. If you often feel obsessed with your partner, feel like it's easy for you to lose yourself in the relationship, you can't wait for them to call you, so you sometimes call them 2-3 times or text them back immediately, that is a potential sign that you're anxiously attached. Another sign that you have an anxious attachment style is constantly worrying about your relationship, being preoccupied with thoughts about your partner, or feeling like you can't trust them. If you always prefer to spend time with your partner and do things together instead of separately, that could be also a clue to having an anxious attachment style. If you're anxiously attached and you get into a relationship with someone who is avoidantly attached or disorganized, it could make your symptoms even worse. One of the combinations that's observed quite often is the anxious-avoidant dynamic. The more your partner pulls away, the more you begin to panic and try to bring them closer. Now let's discuss the possible signs of an avoidant attachment style. If you feel like your partner is suffocating you, constantly asking you for things, and you want to run for the hills the moment they get close to you, then you might be avoidantly attached. You most likely prefer spending time on your own, struggle with intimacy, find it hard to build a connection with anyone, and often feel misunderstood or have been called inconsiderate, cold, or distant by your romantic partners. You might have trouble reading other people's emotions, have a hard time receiving criticism, can't open up, and feel like you never have enough me time. If you get into a relationship with another insecurely attached person, you might find it hard to find time for your partner and feel like your freedom has been restricted. A relationship like that could make your symptoms even worse and cause you to flee in the first sign of a problem, or you might gradually sabotage the relationship until it's beyond repair, so you can finally breathe easily. Now, let's discuss the potential signs of a disorganized attachment style. If you've been told that you often give mixed signals, or you've noticed that when you're in a relationship, you're a combination of mistrustful, suspicious, preoccupied with worry, and cold, distant, and ready to flee, you might be the disorganized, also known as the fearful avoidant type. Another sign of having a disorganized attachment style is constantly switching between adoring your partner, being obsessed with them, and wanting to spend all your time together, and getting easily annoyed, wanting to keep them at a safe distance, and finding reasons to sabotage a relationship. If you're in a relationship with an anxious or avoidant type, that could make your symptoms even worse. You might feel like they're driving you crazy, and you have this constant need to check what they're doing, accuse them of lying, and act cold, distant, and guarded at the same time when they ask you what's wrong. Now, struggling with an insecure attachment style often has something to do with not forming a strong and healthy bond with your primary caretaker, which in turn can lead to suppressing certain aspects of your personality. I've created a free cheat sheet that will help you get to know yourself better. If you want to download it, just click the link in the description box below or head over to coachsimono.com/Sharo. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.